BaltimoreSportsBreaks.com.
How about that RG3, Bob?
How about that RG3, Matthew? I don't think in recent history you could come up with anybody who has had more of an impact on the city that they were drafted into than this kid. He means the world to that city right now.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he was drafted there. He embraced that city right off the bat. They embraced him. It's just a wonderful story. And you look at what Washington gave up to get him. A lot of people thought it was too high. It was too much of a risk. I'll tell you what, a lot of people in St. Louis right now wish that they had RG3. I mean, they have a guy in Stan Bradford, but I think a lot of those St. Louis fans would trade Bradford for RG3 right now. And he is just playing phenomenal football.
Yeah, they'd be foolish not to. They'd be foolish not to own some RG3. Everybody, there's only a handful of teams in the NFL that wouldn't trade for RG3 right now, and they couldn't be blamed. And that spells bad news for anybody that tries to travel to Washington and get a win. And more specifically this week, I'm talking about the Baltimore Ravens, who I think are in a little bit of trouble going into that game, facing a similar ground attack that they faced against Pittsburgh and failed miserably in attempting to do so. With Alfred Morris and the way RG3 can also do things on the ground, Baltimore's got to be a little bit worried about this matchup.
Exactly, Bob. And I mean, when you talk about Baltimore, you always think of that great defense, a great rushing defense that they had with Ray Lewis way back in the day, Peter Bulware and all those guys. That reputation's taken a bit of a hit, especially last year and now into this year. I mean, you look at what the Steelers were able to do with their backs. They had Dwyer and Redmond just going nuts. I mean, you looked at it every time; it was 5, 6, 7 yards. They were just gashing them. Pittsburgh really ran the ball effectively last week against Baltimore, and that's the blueprint against Baltimore. If you can control that time, if you can get those big plays in the running game, and set up your quarterback with some very good down and distances, you're going to be very effective against that defense, especially now with Suggs being injured with that tri-step, and then Ray Lewis is still out. Ed Reed, I don't know if his game is fully there now because of that fine a couple weeks ago. They took it away, but that's got to get in your head of how you're hitting people, how you're playing football.
Definitely. And as I said before, I believe Washington will be successful with their ground game, as Pittsburgh was. And then on top of that, Pittsburgh was also able to be fairly effective through the air with a 36, 37-year-old backup quarterback in Charlie Batch. The quarterback in Washington right now is not a backup. It is not 36 and 37. No, his name is Robert Griffin III, and I think that he will be effective enough through the air to come out with a win on top of the ground game that I think will seal this one up for the Redskins.
I agree with you, Bob, on that one. I really like the way the Redskins are playing. I know we picked against them last week. The Giants, we thought they showed us something. They didn't. You know what? Washington really showed us something. Monday Night Football, prime time, they came to play. They're fighting for their playoff lives right now. You know, Baltimore's kind of set in there. You know, they know they're going to be in. But Washington, they're fighting, they're scratching, they're clawing. I really like Washington in this game. Big on the ground. You look at this game after it's done. The score is going to be close, but when you look at the stats and you specifically look at that rushing game, I really like Washington in this football game.
Yeah, I'm going to say the stats to look at is going to be time of possession. I put Washington around 38 minutes or so with what they're going to be able to do on the ground. Washington Redskins host the Baltimore Ravens and get the win.
BaltimoreSportsBreaks.com.